Hello and welcome to the 10th inaugural episode of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that believes in auteurs and believes in creatives. We have a little bit of information to discuss this week, but I think we should introduce ourselves. My name is Ethan.
And I'm Devin, and the quote of this show is no copyright law in the universe is going to stop me.
Was that a Disney quote? Because
No,
that's
this
basically how they run things.
no, this is Sonic in Sonic colors.
I actually think I remember that.
I thought it
Maybe.
fit what this episode's going to be about. So
Yeah, because we're talking about changes to the Sonic movie and how certain people think about those changes. Obviously, we all know that the Sonic movie has been delayed till February 14th, Valentine's Day. And we all know that the reason why is because Sonic's character has been redesigned. Now, we've discussed the leaked images, and we believe that that's the new design.
mhm.
Not a lot of people seem to like the design, and we got a quote. When was this? Last week? Just
Yeah,
recently,
middle of the week. Yeah,
a few days ago, from Jim Carrey, who plays Dr. Robotnik. Do they call him Robotnik in the movie, or is he
we
Eggman?
go over this every time, and I don't think we have a solid answer. I'm going to assume
I
it's
think
Eggman.
American movie execs just want to call him Robotnik, even though no one has actually called him that in like 20 years.
It'd be
But
cool if they call him Robotnik and then he turns into like Eggman as like an alter ego kind of thing. That'd be kind of cool in the
so it was
movie.
like only a small market, a small section of the market called him that for like the first 9 years. And then ever since then, everyone calls him Eggman. But anyway, Jim Carrey, who plays Dr. Ivo Robotnik, had couple quotes about his opinions on the redesign.
And there was
And I
one that
guess,
was back when they first announced they were
yeah,
redesigning
back
it.
when there was like, is this happening? Is there not?
We did mention it
Uh,
before, I think, but we didn't
Let me
go over
pull
it
up the
really.
quote. So this is what he said way back in the day. He said, "I don't know quite yet how I feel about the audience being in on the creation while it's happening. So we'll have to see what that entails, because sometimes you find that the collective consciousness decides what it wants, or that it wants something. Then when it gets it, it goes, okay, I just
Hmm.
wanted it. I didn't care about it. I'll just jump on the bandwagon or whatever.
And can
I
we
don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea." That's what he said a long time
yeah,
ago.
and can we just
But
talk about that before we jump on to the next quote? Um
sure.
to me, what I'm reading into that is like he feels that there was only a loud minority complaining about the change, and then more people just jumped on the bandwagon because it's fun to shit on things, you
It
know?
is fun to mock ugly characters.
Yeah, like almost like a mob. You know what I mean? Like if you have 10 people in your mob, you go down the street and you're complaining about something. You're like, hey,
I know the
I
people
kind of I
that
kind of feel
vaguely
that
agree
way.
with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
then they come out and they're in the mob now too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and if you think about it, the way that mentality works, you could have an idea like, oh, I don't like that. I wish it was changed. But all of a sudden, when you get a notion that, hey, a whole bunch of people are saying it, and there actually could be changed now you throw your voice into the ring as well.
yeah,
Uh, I think you're right. I think it's a bit of that plus him not either maybe not seeing the design and seeing how bad it looks, not really being too much knowledgeable about Sonic himself and why that design was just so bad for what it was, and the history
or maybe he
that
doesn't
Sonic
know that.
has.
Like, I mean, I know he's on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter because he does like his paintings and stuff. Um,
Okay.
but how his like my timeline when the Sonic original Sonic trailer came out, everyone was talking about it.
It was all dunks.
It was all and mostly dunks, right?
It was all dunks.
So that's just my timeline. Maybe your timeline was the same, and maybe others are too. If you're following the gaming industry or entertainment industry, how much is he following the entertainment industry? And I'm like, he probably is because
Right.
obviously he's an actor, well-known actor. So I'm sure he has a timeline like that. But how much of that timeline was revolved around Sonic? You know what I mean? And how people? It wasn't like people were tagging Jim Carrey, being like, "LOL, did you see your trash movie you're gonna be in?"
Right. I don't think anyone was actually outing him.
Yeah, because he wasn't. That wasn't the main problem with that trailer.
My guess is that his experience with the Sonic character was he's probably seen the Genesis games way back in the day, knew that there was still like Sonic stuff,
Yeah,
probably more so cartoons than
he's
games
maybe played a game
themselves.
or two. I don't know if he has kids.
And if
Maybe
he
his
has,
kids had
it was
played it.
Genesis games. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like that's his experience.
and
So
that's
like
okay.
to
We're not saying
him,
that's bad, but
obviously, yeah. I mean, there's you know tons of. You think the guy that played Sonic in the movie is like a super mega ultra fan? He would have had something to say about the design as well. But my understanding about that quote back way back then months ago was him just being like, "Oh, it just feels weird that like all of a sudden the art is being changed because the seemingly a little
yeah,
bit of people had this whole bunch of voices and shouts, and now we're just caving in. It doesn't feel like it's
yeah.
justified." But
Because
flash forward to
it's almost like a review coming out prior to a movie, and then being like, okay, never mind, we're not bringing the movie out. I guess he can. I can see him how he could maybe think that way, like almost like, oh, everyone says this movie sucks before it even comes out, and then
right, and it shapes your opinion about it because you either want to prove
yeah.
them wrong with your
Well, let's
opinion,
say
you know.
before Avengers came out, everyone's like, "Oh my god, was so bad," right?
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the director's like, "Oh, okay, since we had some bad reviews, we're gonna push it back." Like that would never happen. And maybe he looks at
Right.
this that way too. Like he's like, "No, it's gonna come out November 8th,"
Yeah.
which would have been in our time if the change timeline never happened, which would be next week. We'd probably be doing the big build up episode.
Yeah. You
This is-
also got to think too when they delay a movie, for that long, it changes their PR cycle.
oh yeah,
He now has, press interviews later than he originally had planned for. So that changes his actual real life schedule,
yeah.
even though his work with the movie has been done for over a year.
So maybe he feels a
You
little
know,
annoyed, maybe by that.
maybe it is like, oh, this curse, this ghost just won't leave me alone. The stupid blue Sonic. But I don't know. That was his opinion months ago.
This was when
But
it
we
first,
have a
that quote was when, like I think a week or two after they announced they were changing the
yeah,
design.
and he will obviously wouldn't have had any knowledge. It's not like he's sitting on the director's board being like, all right, major involvement in the movie direction wise. No,
Do
he
you
was,
think maybe he had to reshoot any scenes? That's another whole thing we didn't even think of. Probably not.
I don't think so.
Probably
I
not.
think we would have heard about that, to be honest. That
Maybe that's something
because
we'll have to look out for. When
the
we
way
see
the
movie.
film industry is, everyone is just open to saying everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We never hear about movies that get canceled before they're announced. Like every movie's announced. So I feel like they would have been like, hey, here's reshoots. We hear about Marvel movies having reshoots.
Yeah.
Things, and that would be the closest to actual secrecy I could think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms
So
of
I feel like
giant
we would have,
success.
like you said, we would have heard about it then.
But so when that was happening, he probably was just in the dark. Had no idea like how far are they going in? Are they going to change? Am I going to have scenes with me cut? Is like, because I'm
Yeah,
sure he's
that's another
seen
thing,
a
yeah.
good chunk of the movie at that point. He probably knows the extent in which he has been in the movie. There's a bit of like, hey, am I going to be underplayed? How is the movie's tone going to be different? Are a lot of the jokes I made no longer going to be like,
Funny.
maybe they won't make sense. Maybe they're gonna, have I forgot his name. Is it Schwartz? Ben Schwartz?
Yeah, he's
The voice of Sonic.
Yep.
Is he just gonna redo a whole bunch of stuff? You know what I mean? Am I gonna have to come back in? Has my agent talked to me yet?
Maybe he's just upset that the suit he was planning to rent for November for the red carpet he can no longer use because someone else needs it in March or February.
You act like Jim Carrey doesn't have a closet full of suits.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure at this point
He probably has the suit he wore in The Mask.
that'd actually be funny if he just wore the exact same suit.
Anyway, that was months ago, but we have an updated version of his opinion on the matter from a few days ago. This was some newspaper interviewed him about a TV show he's on and asked his opinion on the Sonic delay and the reason why. Because it's a redesign of Sonic character, and because of fan feedback from the first and only trailer. It's been half a year since that trailer. We probably would have had probably 3 trailers at a TV spot and like
by this time. Oh yeah,
and a get your tickets now
Facebook
spot
ads,
as well. Yeah,
Twitter ads.
so we only have one set of footage from the movie so far. But anyway, his response to a question about the Sonic redesign delay, he says, "I believe in auteurs. I believe in creatives. We do what we can do, and then technology is going to have its way, and people's opinions are going to have their way. and who knows what it's going to turn into. You just become their Frankenstein monster at some point, right? So I think it's pretty much the same opinion he's had before. I
Yeah,
think it's
let me clear things up in case there might be someone who doesn't know what auteur means. Basically, it's the idea, at least in movie terms, is that the director has a vision into every single scene. So if you see like
he writes, he produces, he directs.
yes,
He sometimes is literally
and
on the
like
dolly with the
yeah,
camera.
yeah, and then there'll also be like, let's say you see a painting in the background behind the character, that's on purpose. You know, it isn't just a set, you know, for
Yeah,
friends or something like that. You know, this is everything is on every single thing has maybe a meaning or a reason
right.
behind it. So,
And if you're into games, Kojima is basically the
oh
closest to an
yeah,
auteur that we
definitely,
have in the video game space, or at least one
definitely.
that is accepted as an auteur. I'm sure David Cage
I
thinks
was
he's
gonna
an
I was
auteur
gonna
as
make that
well.
joke. I
Uh,
was gonna make that joke.
actually, there's a bunch. I mean, I don't think anyone in the Japanese side, like Miyamoto, actually thinks that they're super controlling. But anyway, David Cage. Uh,
David Cage.
basically, Jim Carrey's opinions on the matter have not changed. They're still from the stance of like, hey, this movie has been changed, and it has nothing to do with what the people that envisioned this movie thought of.
Yeah,
Now,
they weren't thinking that, hey, we're gonna have to change this, pay people more, put people on under a lot of stress, probably
right.
change the date.
And it's a gamble because you could lose so much money that you could have gotten potentially.
Yeah, we don't. We'll look.
Uh,
We'll do an
you're literally
episode.
moving into a different market. The
Yeah,
timing is so much different. Who's
we're
seeing
gonna
a
do
movie
an
in
episode.
February rather than November?
Yeah, because we're gonna do an episode on the box office in December of November to see if maybe we could guess what Sonic would have gotten and would it have survived, because there was a lot more movies
Right.
than I realized that are
Yeah, I
coming
mean, we,
out.
we we mentioned like almost every episode. Frozen, when that came out, was going to come out 2 weeks later. Was going to cannibalize
Knives
Sonic.
Out is
You know what I
out.
mean?
Tubman's out. The Harriet Tubman film is
Oh,
coming out
that's
all
right.
on the same day, November 8th.
Oh my God. I
So
mean, those are different markets, but
still, just like yeah, that's something we'll have to look at later on to see how they do financially.
for
But
sure.
yeah,
But like just there's so much potential loss that they can make. Now the risk is that how many people are going to see the new trailer with the redesigned Sonic, be like, hey, they actually respect us. They respect what they're doing enough to change it. I wasn't going to go see the movie. I am now. Like how I would think personally, there's going to be more people seeing this movie now. Now we haven't seen official trailer with the new design. We don't even know if that design is
I'm
real.
maybe thinking Jim Carrey is looking at it more of a broader picture, being like he's been in the movie industry for how many years now? Before we were born, definitely. But maybe he's looking at like, yeah, there's always going to be people who don't like something, and we won't know if it's good or not until it hits the theaters and a couple of weeks go by. Maybe that's
I
how he
mean,
looks at it. You know what
how
I
much
mean?
of it is that, and how much of it is the whole stupid Martin Scorsese Disney Pictures d- spat. I say that in quotes.
Because it
Obviously, you
really
can't see my
wasn't.
fingers because
Yeah,
no, it's just he gave his opinion, and then a whole bunch of nerds like explode like your movies don't make any money compared to Iron Man 4. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I say spat in quotes because it was
It was not
a
his
one
intent. He
sided
was just
argument,
saying like,
but
"Hey, this is how I
you know,
feel."
these are a theme park, and when you want, and of course, what Bob Iger said something about that. I didn't even want to look at it because I'm sure it would have made me roll my eyes, but because it only furthered the quote unquote dispute. But all it really is hey, you know, these major movies are changing his business, and
Yeah,
he sees that as a negative. You know, Disney for Marvel movies specifically is like, hey, here are the next 3 years worth of Marvel movie release dates. We're having a movie come out on May 24th and in November 14th, and then the next year on March 28th. You know what I mean? Like, and then major studios that could be funding a movie by him be like, all right, well, I'm sorry, we can't put your movie in first week of May because Black Widow is going to just cannibalize that film. We got to
yeah.
move you around. Maybe other studios are like, hey, sorry,
Like
in order
even
to compete with Avengers 5, we need to put our A game out, which means we have to make sure we put out movies that are hits. And I'm sorry, but your art house film is not something we're looking into filming. So I think Jim Carrey here is falling into that camp of like, hey, I'm afraid that the film industry as I know it might disappear.
Yeah,
which
but
is
at the same
very
time,
valid.
is Sonic a art house film? No. I'd
No.
put Sonic in the same
It
category
is a
as
summer blockbuster that was supposed to come out in November.
yeah. To me, it is. I put it in the same category as, like you said, a theme park with Marvel. I put it in the same category. Sonic. I'm gonna go into Sonic thinking action with the occasional funny moments.
Right.
That's it. It's not Sonic.
Levity, suspense, danger, laughs. That's just a cycle of that.
Yeah.
Hopefully the laughs aren't at the expense of the movie.
Yeah, so I kind of disagree with this whole auteur thing. That's what makes me think he just said that, and he's more of just upset, like you said, that like the industry is changing to where like
he's not looking at it. Oh, like they're messing up my Sonic movie. It's like, no. What if this is a trend now? What if I have another movie and people are like, we all hated, everything that has to do with Jim Carrey in this movie. Change it, recast him. You know what I mean? Or make him redo
Star Wars.
reshoots.
Look at Star Wars. Star Wars
right?
People either hated it or you love it, and then also canceled things.
Yeah,
we don't know the new one coming
that they
out.
Weren't gonna that. The original plan was every other year there was going to be a standalone Star Wars movie, and then they decided, you know what? People didn't want to see Solo, even though they did, and that movie made a lot of money. They didn't want to see Solo. So we're just not going to do that.
And that's what it goes back to is like, I understand like the dream would be like Sonic drops $1 billion in profit, something stupid like that, but that's not happening. But
right,
I will say I kind of agree with Jim here, where it's like I understand that fear because, like you said, if we complain enough, they'll just change it. But like, how do we know how much people actually complain? How many people actually complained who are going to see it regardless, compared to like the Joe Schmo on the street, or not the street, but you know what I mean? Like
on the corner.
But no, like some dad and his 2 boys, they don't care about Sonic's design. They don't care.
We were going to see the movie regardless anyway, and we're Sonic fans.
So like,
I don't think there was a single Sonic fan
I kind of agree with that.
That wasn't going to see the movie for real.
So I guess I'll phrase this way. I guess I agree with Jim the more I'm thinking about it, because yes, it's cool that they're changing the design, and I'm glad that like no one's doing crunch or anything like that, because I'm a fan of work-life balance and all that. But how will we know what's good anymore if enough people complain about it, they pull it back.
Right.
They pull it like okay, like the new Star
collective opinion becomes.
It's like the last Star Wars. You either hated it or you loved it. There was no in between. It felt like,
and I loved it.
but my worry is that the hate was loud enough that like from the trailers I've seen for the new Star Wars, that it's going to be a
backpedaling. Yeah.
And well, I guess we'll wait and see. Like maybe I'm wrong.
We will wait and see. Yeah.
But it does make me nervous. Maybe that's the same feeling for him. That maybe not. It's not Sonic. It's the whole picture. It's the whole industry.
Yeah. I think it's only going to affect these major movies where like, hey, we expect Spider-Man to make over $1 billion now because we know he can. So maybe, if there's just, on the internet, just a very, very loud, whether it's a minority or majority, but a very loud group of people being like, hey, this looks really bad. I think they would change it. Now, I don't think that's going to happen with every single movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we have to remember Sonic's case here is very specific. He has had a very rough life. It's just disappointment after disappointment. There's little hopes. We're like, oh, we really think this is going to be good. No, it's not. This looks like there might have a nugget in it that I might enjoy, but it ruins it,
Yeah.
And just to see that trailer and see that design is like, this is comically bad, and we know we deserve it. So I think the case for Sonic is unique.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's going to happen.
And it's crazy
again.
because
and if it does, it's going to be like, hey, no one really liked that we brought Watto from Star Wars Episode 1 into The Last Jedi or whatever. Spoilers, he's not in that movie. But we really hated it, so we're not going to touch the prequels at all.
Yeah,
I think it's only going to be in these giant, $1 billion movies would we ever see.
So maybe I guess that's a good counter argument. But why Sonic? Sonic isn't a big, it's big, but he's not like you said, he's not Marvel where everyone's like,
excuse me.
but you know what I mean? Like, okay,
Yeah.
if a smaller one like that, I would consider this a smaller blockbuster film. If this one is backpedaling, who's to say we get a Mario film and let's say Mario looks wrong or the voice
Now, I mean,
actor.
there is a Mario movie coming out.
Oh yeah, I
I
forgot.
believe it's next year. It's by Illumination Studios and it's animated the whole thing.
But let's
We
say
haven't seen
it
anything
comes
from it.
out. That first trailer comes out. It's the same thing as Sonic.
He's
Well,
just this grotesque, ugly Italian fat man.
yeah.
Like, what did you do?
Would and then let's say they backtrack that one too. Would that be a trend then for these smaller? Because I would agree with you with the whole bigger thing. We'll only might see this kind of stuff with bigger blockbusters. But to me, this is technically a smaller blockbuster. I guess maybe it's just an outlier.
And remember, we
this
both
an outlier, basically?
predicted that this movie would not make as much money as Pikachu did, and
Yeah.
Pikachu didn't make a whole lot of money. It wasn't like outstanding, you know.
Yeah. So that's what I'm wondering if this is just an outlier. I'm hoping maybe I think that's what Jim's fear is. I think he hopes that this isn't going to happen to every film because that would suck for him. I mean, granted, he's in his twilight years now.
Mm-hmm.
Watch
He
this.
might do an Eddie Murphy style comeback.
That's
Eddie
true.
Murphy.
I'm just saying
came
his
back with
age.
that
I
Netflix
meant more in
film,
his age, maybe
but-
not in his career. Like he still does things, but he's not 30 years old anymore. You know where everyone wants him. I'm not trying to take shots
sure.
at Jim Carrey, by the way. I love Jim Carrey, but like for example, Dwayne the Rock Johnson eventually at some point isn't going to be the main guy that everyone's getting,
Right.
or Chris Evans. Now I feel like is going to be
Just
in
like
everything.
Stallone wasn't and Schwarzenegger wasn't before them. So
Yeah. So
yeah, I think this is an outlier.
I hope
I don't think this will be a trend, but I do think we'll see it in the future.
with bigger films.
Also, we have to remember the relationship that the audience has with the product is different nowadays than it was before. It's the way the internet is, you know.
Because imagine if this
Like,
movie
just-
came out in 1990. It would just come out. It would have just came out.
Right.
No one would
Like,
have.
oh, there's going to be a Sonic movie.
And people would have just been word of mouth would just been like, oh yeah, it wasn't that good. I don't like the design. But no one would have been like protesting at Warner Brothers or
Right.
not Warner Brothers, Paramount, being like, we demand a new design. Like that wouldn't have. No.
Bring me Jim Carrey's head.
That's why I would love to
It's
look
his
back.
fault.
I would love to look back at like the history of film delays in terms of like maybe like actors. Let's say like the movie's coming out and there's an actor on it who all of a sudden gets accused of child pornography or something messed up. Which is, with the Me Too, everything, that happening, that definitely we saw the impact of that.
Well, what Kevin Spacey, I guarantee he had projects that he was in.
Yeah.
And when that happened, one of those movies came out limited release. And it had like 8 tickets sold, like for its box office weekend.
So I guess that's another thing that is different now, with that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, we're definitely in a different day and age of the internet. Can definitely, you find out that, there's a lot more people have your opinions, or it's easier to there's brand talking now. Like, you can
back in the
reach out.
90s, we wouldn't know how many celebrities thought vaccinations gave your children autism, but we do now. And it's sometimes hard to disassociate your view of the artist with the art. I mean, everyone talks about Woody Allen. He's like the big example. But like, oh, but you really love his movies, but it's freaking Woody Allen, People are going to do the same thing about Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, yeah. I watched Snowpiercer a couple months ago, and in the beginning,
movie.
It has the Weinstein logo, and I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it. But it was great.
One of my favorite movies from the past 5 years had Kevin Spacey in it. It was Baby Driver. Like, I saw it in theaters, and I'm never seeing it again because it is weird to see him in a role where he calls a young-looking man baby a lot. I just can't. But actors, directors, they're a little bit different in and of themselves, and I don't know.
And I think all this I think builds up to what I think Jim is saying. I think originally when I first read it, I'm like, I kind of disagree with the whole auteur thing, but he's saying it as a bigger thing. I I kind of misinterpreted it as like, because I don't look at Sonic as an auteur film, so I kind of misinterpreted that. But I know now what he's kind of saying. And I kind of
He's
generally
definitely
agree with
talking
him.
about he's fearing a trend. Now, maybe he's never seen a Kickstarter or a Patreon or an Indiegogo or Fig or anything like that, but there are ways in which your direct audience that is going to be paying that they want to see a thing, they have input and they have ideas. And maybe you don't have to actually like, take those into real consideration, but it's helpful to see the people that are super fans, what their opinion on your thing is. Oftentimes, creators of a long-standing, franchise, series, product, IP, etc., lose sight of what fans think is special about the thing, and they keep doing the thing, and it ends up not what people want. Going back to Sonic, the game Sonic Mania is literally super mega fans know the design, what people like about Sonic to a T, and they made a game for Sega about it, and it is the best Sonic game ever. And it had nothing to do with the original creators of Sonic or their current, handholders at Sega, period.
Yeah,
So the relationship between, creators and the fans of the things that they create is different today. And I don't see that as a bad thing at all. It just depends on how much you give in.
but that also
If they're like,
goes.
fine, we'll do a poll on every single thing, then yeah, it might turn into what Jim Carrey calls a Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein. Is it Frankenstein?
It's Frankenstein. Yeah.
Weinstein, Epstein, Frankenstein. I don't know. They're all monsters to me. But
And like you're saying though, with like taking polls and stuff, but it goes back to the whole I don't know if we've had a discussion, me and you personally. I don't know if we've had it. I don't remember having it on this show.
I barely remember anything on this show.
Uh,
You say that, oh, you said this and I said this. I'm like, did I? I have no idea.
But how like ownership, like we all love Sonic, but do we have the right? Like I think we have the right to be like, this is bad. But it gets in. I feel like we are kind of in a gray area, being like,
Yeah.
they're
There was
changing
that
the design.
documentary about the people versus George Lucas, and it was about who owned Star Wars, really.
Yeah.
Is it the creator that screws it up? Or is it the fans that only like the old thing and now complain that there are more women with purple hair in the movies? So there's an argument to be made that it is never the people. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, you're right. Like, who really does own it at the end of the day? Like, there was a quote I remember reading years ago, and it was a joke, but it was like, Harry Potter will outlive all of us. Every single one of us will be forgotten well before Harry Potter.
Yeah,
So
unless
that
you,
includes
like,
that includes
yeah.
J.K. Rowling. People are going to forget that she's like a turf, and she's probably anti-Semitic. You know what I mean? People are going to forget about her well before they
Yeah.
forget about what she created. So who owns it?
Yeah. And like in terms of like the Sonic movie though, we don't know how many Sonic fans there are in the United States total.
At least 7,
Or
no more than 30.
or who like be like, if I went up to a random person on the street and was like, "Hey, do you like Sonic?" Yes. But
I
is
love
that
their
a fan?
cheeseburgers.
And then is that a fan? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you go into that being with the movie being like, how many Sonic fans are actually going to see it regardless of the design? So that's why I keep going back and forth. Like, yeah, I'm glad they're doing a redesign and they're doing it in a way where it's, to me, ethical. But it is kind of scary that like this Paramount Pictures was like, yeah, guys, we need to change it because people were complaining on Twitter or making reaction videos to it.
Yeah.
When we don't even know if those people would have gone to the theater, and if they did go to the theater, great, you already got their money. You already got their
Right.
money, so it doesn't.
You already had our money.
Yeah, so it is. It is interesting. It is very.
Part of
interesting.
me wonders if like certain people on the creative team were telling executives like, "Hey, we need to change what he looks
See,
like.
and that's the thing. We
This
probably
is
will
not
never
going to
know.
look good."
We will never
And
know.
then just seeing the reaction to the trailer was them being like, "See, we told you so." And then
We would have to reach
flipped it
out to
around.
like after the movie's been done for a year or two. Go reach
Like
out
I
to
said-
like an editor
like
or
I said on a
something.
previous episode, that only happens. They'll only talk publicly about the makings of that film, like honestly, if the movie was really, really, really successful, or the exact opposite if it was really bad. Something
But
that they
there's
could
also
laugh
like
about.
But
or
some
be
people,
like, look how brilliant this was.
but once again though, the animation team or the studio, whoever does it for Sonic, they probably were just told what to do and they're gonna do it. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
They're not. They're looking at it as a job. Maybe they're like, maybe there's some
They're
people
they're not going to argue with the paycheck.
because yeah, you're not gonna argue with the
The
paycheck.
paycheck isn't killing people or suppressing freedom in Hong Kong, for instance. They're not going to argue with it.
Yeah, and I remember when we looked at the IMDb page, most of the people are young people who this is their first big movie.
Right.
So some of them be like,
This movie will make more than anything that they've ever made.
yeah, and to them too, it's not about the end product for this. Maybe it's more of just like, hey, I've proved I can animate this. Yeah, no one liked the
Yeah,
animation, but I animated it. Do
for
you know what I
sure.
mean? Where the Wild Things Are, for example, all the animation people on there. In case you're unaware, we did a review of that. If you're a first listener and you're like,
The
why did he
director
just
of
drop
the
that?
Sonic movie was
Part of the
the
animation.
art supervisor or
Yeah.
whatever of Where the Wild Things Are.
But like for that, for example, that builds experience, and you can use that
Yeah.
later. So,
And you can still be proud of something that people don't like.
yeah, that's another thing. Like, I put time into this, and if people don't like it, well, yeah,
Yeah.
it sucks. But like, I can use that later
Your
on.
appreciation is your knowledge on the subject.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's my opinions on his opinions. Do you have any opinions on his opinions?
No, I will say I think at first when we were first recording, I kind of was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like he's coming across a little snobby, but the more I think about it, I kind of agree. I kind of agree with
And who
him.
knows? Maybe this was just like he doesn't care about this project, this movie, this job at all, and this is just whatever. I mean, if this is a thing, like I think it's a little fishy.
It's outside of his control now. So he's
Yeah,
probably he probably is agitated because you're expecting maybe a paycheck at the end.
he was probably paid well before.
You think?
Uh, I don't really know how any of that works, but your
So I always
agent
thought
would
it was a
obviously
cut from
say,
the
"Hey,
box office because let's say you
some
put.
do and some don't."
But I guess it is true because the budget. I don't know. I don't know if
Well,
actors are
There
in the
was
budget
some
or not.
movie. I forgot what it was. I think it might have been. Oh, it was Inception.
Inception.
The Christopher Nolan movie he made after The Dark Knight. It's the one where they go into dreams. Uh, if this is the movie I'm thinking of, then it was this. The studio did not want to do it, and maybe it wasn't this movie. I'm just gonna pretend it was this movie.
Okay.
All of the actors that were in it believed in Christopher Nolan the film, and they said, "Okay, we won't take a salary or a paycheck. We just want royalties, so a small percentage of royalties off the film. Whatever that becomes, we'll take it. It could be really bad, and you're not paying us a whole lot. Think
Yeah.
of it that way. So, like, some artists really do believe in the films, but
For
I don't
Sonic,
think I don't
yeah.
think that's usually the case. I don't really think unless you're like literally Robert Downey Jr., who after the original Iron Man movie came out, basically told his agent, don't let the Marvel representatives leave this room until I own a piece of their company. Like, rarely is it like, hey, I'm making money off of the ticket sales.
Yeah.
I think it's usually like, hey, Scarlett Johansson gets paid $40 million, or
Yeah.
Johnny
I wonder,
Depp after swinging blows at his wife gets $50 million.
yeah, I always wonder if it's the budget, like the budget we see is part of the actor's pay. It can't. I don't think it can be because some of these actors are.
It is.
It is, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Because I thought Robert
like
Downey
it-
Jr. was getting like more money than the budget or something like that, or maybe that's all over time.
Infinity War and Endgame, their budgets are a little iffy and their production times are a little iffy because they were all done together as one big project, but billed as separate movies so that people get, like a lot of the VFX and budget could be more skewed in Infinity War than Endgame because of the timings on when they did it.
Yeah,
But
I guess.
no, it includes
Okay.
actors.
I was never really sure.
That's why that one Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the one that was
It
like
was
number
the-
2 or
It
3,
was the fourth one, I think.
highest grossing, it's because it had like Orlando Bloom and Johnny Depp, and like they required a lot of money. But I don't think Jim Carrey is being held up by this movie at all, other than like he knows he's committed to some level of a press tour. Maybe he'll show up on Jimmy Fallon or something.
I would love press tour on like one of the night shows for Sonic, because
Right.
it'd be so weird. I feel like it'd just be like a weird conversation. Be like, so Sonic, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Robotnik, huh? That's right.
He's an
That would be Jim
Eggman?
Carrey there. That's right. I'm Eggman.
Yeah. Uh,
All right, so back to the Sonic movie stock. I know this isn't really news, like you said off air, but does this change anything? Probably
No.
not. No, I would say the same.
I forgot where I left off. I think I was
You were booming. You were booming. You're going up.
booming. I was going up. All right. Well, I'm still rising.
You're still rising.
I'm
This
still
doesn't stop
rising.
it or
Nope,
slow it
this
down.
doesn't stop it. I want a trailer. Starting to get
Yeah,
to
where
the point where
the-
like, hey, if we don't get a trailer,
It's gonna drop. You're gonna start selling. You're gonna start selling
yeah,
that stock.
exactly. Now remember, we both made bets. I forgot if it was the trailer or the first official look at what Sonic's new design is.
I think it was-
Regardless,
yeah, I don't know.
regardless, you predicted at the beginning of November,
Yep.
which Inside Baseball, we're recording this on the 3rd of November. I predicted the end of November. So I guess technically I win if it keeps getting delayed. But
What if it's gonna be perfectly in the middle? So
Yeah.
none of us win.
and didn't we think they're going to show the design, then do the trailer?
I think that's kind of what we generally agreed.
And
I mean,
we
it'd be
both-
cool if
we
they dropped
definitely
us the
think-
trailer, but
We definitely think it'd be bold, ballsy, and shows that you're proud.
for all
of
we
your
know,
work
it can drop tomorrow.
if they show the original trailer with the new design.
I don't remember when the first trailer came out, but I could have sworn it was on a Monday or Tuesday. I could have sworn. So we're recording on a Sunday here. We try to record earlier, but most of our schedules kind of just don't line up recently. But we always will have an episode up on Sunday, I think, by the end of Sunday, at the very latest. But I can see it dropping like what if it just dropped tomorrow? I wouldn't be surprised. I would like it to drop on like a Thursday or something
Yeah.
like that. But
All I know is I'm going to wake up. This is usually my morning routine. It starts with me waking up, looking at Twitter, and I find what the discourse is of the day, or find what people are talking about. And that's how I found the first Sonic trailer.
yeah,
That's how I usually find all that kind of stuff. So that's probably how it's going to be. It's just some seemingly random morning. We'll be like, oh, here's the trailer, and then we'll talk about it for the show.
yeah. So what are our plans for next episode? I know we talked about it, but we can let the audience know.
Yeah. So next episode, next week, unless there is breaking news, like hey, a trailer, for instance, major breaking news, we're going to do a watch along / review of the 1999 Sonic the Movie OVA. Stands for Original Video Animation. It's about an hour long. We're going to watch it together with you. You'll be able to find that on YouTube as well as on podcast services, which is Apple Podcasts and Google Play Music. Those are the two. That's correct. Basically, yeah, we'll have that up ready next week. You can watch along with us, hear our commentary. We're watching it for the first time, both of us, and we'll discuss it for like maybe 15, 20 minutes afterwards. It's a nice little stopgap since we don't seem to be getting any news.
Yeah.
Any
But like
rumors.
once again, if something drops of importance that we feel like we should talk about, then we'll do that first.
If a trailer comes out tomorrow, that will be the topic of next week,
Yeah.
and we'll do this the week after. But in any case, I mean, when it goes up, we'll give you instructions on where you can find it. For instance, on YouTube, it seems that there is a lot of full versions of it. So it doesn't seem.
I would put it under sources for that one. I always put like articles that we talk about under
Definitely doesn't
sources.
seem like it's something you're going to have to purchase.
Yeah.
So
I know probably with the Sonic cartoons, you probably had to either do some workarounds or pay some money, but or free trials at least.
that reminds me, I need to cancel Hulu.
Cancel
Because
Hulu.
I started the trial up for stupid Sonic Boom and Sonic X, and I forgot to cancel it. So I need to do that still. Don't let me forget, audience.
Leave comments saying cancel that Hulu subscription.
Along with the other comment, which is what, Sonic Good? What?
Or we always say like wow, 10 stars, 5 stars.
That's right.
Make it very like bot looking basically, and that'd be funny.
And you can leave those comments on Apple Podcast or Google Play Music as well as YouTube. Simply just search The Sonic Movie Show on any of those services. Our podcast is hosted by Libsyn Podcast Network.
Was
So
it sponsored by
I almost said sponsored. That would be a dream if we actually got a sponsor.
sponsored?
Manscaped.
What if it was sponsored by Sonic the Hedgehog
Wow.
movie?
That-
Would that be allowed? I feel like it wouldn't be if we're reviewing
I think
it.
that would definitely sway our opinions if they were paying.
Yeah, being like the movie sucks.
If all of
But
a
it's
sudden we're
sponsored by-
extremely positive about film with no negative qualities, we got bought. But you can find the show on those services I mentioned earlier. And rate us 5 stars, maybe 4 stars. I'll allow that.
Okay.
If you go lower, you're wasting your time, and it hurts us. It makes me cry on the inside. So don't bother. There are plenty of other podcasts that'll be more than happy to take your 2-star reviews. Give us the 5 stars, and I want you to write in the comments. Don't forget to cancel Hulu, and wow, 5 stars. So amazing.
Wow, 5 stars.
If we get so many of those and we get reported for potential bot activity, I'll be happy. Yeah, you can find it on those places. Check us out next week for the Sonic OVA watch along, unless there is a trailer. We will probably discuss the trailer then, as well as give maybe an initial reaction on our Twitters as we quote tweet the Sonic trailer itself if it drops. You'll be able to follow me on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely, and you will be able to follow Devin on Twitter at Cursona YouTube.
Yes, that is correct.
That is Cursona YouTube. Also happens to be the name of the channel. You can find the Sonic Movie Show, but also you just search it on Google. I'm sure right now, if I search the Sonic Movie Show, yep, we're number 1. So
I don't know if that's actually true, but I'll take your word for it.
If enough people search for it, it becomes number 1. That's how Google works. So we'll see you next week for a trailer, hopefully, or a watch along, a special video presentation.
All right. I'm not laughing. I'm done. That gimmick's over.
No laughing until the trailer.
Yes. I will not laugh ever again in real life either. No more laughing.
Damn. Jim Carrey really made you feel that way, huh?
Yeah. I guess
There's
that's the
tour. I must not laugh.
I must not laugh. All right. Well, thank you all again.
Bye.
Bye.